I'd like to officially call to order this meeting of the Park and Downtown Improvement Corporation. If you'll please stand and join us for the invocation.
Lord, we just ask you today to give us a strong vision for the future of Terrell. We ask that you would unite us in our decision. We ask that you make us strong stewards of the gifts that you've given us. We thank you for our community and for the people willing to serve on this board. We thank you for the room full of involved citizens that are here today. And we just ask your blessings over the city of Terrell. In your heavenly name, amen.
Amen. You'll join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. This time I'll ask our members to review the minutes from the May 9th meeting. And once you've had a moment to do so, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Sarah. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Matt. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Notice our financial report is further down in the agenda. So at this time, we'll move into new business to discuss and consider site enhancement matching grant program application for 115 North Francis. And for this, I'll call on Raylan.
Good morning, members of the Paddock Board. What you have in your packet is an application for reimbursement at 115 North Francis. A lot of us know this as the RE/MAX building, so it has sold. It's under new management. My understanding is it will be an office. It will be maintained as an office building. Mr. Wildman had told me that he would be here, but he didn't look like he's here yet. He did submit a standard application with the understanding of the projected grant funds that were available for each one of those items, and you also have a staff recommendation on your application. I included in your packet the explanation of reimbursements for this grant, and I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
Picture of the building is on page 23 of your packets. And staff recommendation. Yes, page 8 of your packet.
Raylan, did he consult with Thacker on
Yes,
colors and all of that?
We had some exterior drawings already of this building, and those were shared out.
Are those in the packet?
No, I didn't, sorry. I'll start putting those in there.
So there's not an occupant lined up for the property, right? This is to prepare it to lease.
There is an occupant that's going in. It's my understanding that it's an insurance company.
Okay.
So the request before the board is to reimburse $5,775 towards the expense of exterior door replacement, awning addition, and paint. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. At this time, we'll discuss and consider downtown revitalization grant application for 313 Westmore. And for this, I'll call on Raylan.
So this one's going to be a pretty popular property for the next couple of items. What we have is the property owner, who is Hector Torres. He has his future tenant, Jonathan, which is of Lily's Event Center, also known as Terrell Social, now, as they're wanting to open a business downtown. So just to kind of familiarize you with the building, this is right there at the corner of, it's next to our empty lot at the corner of Rockwall and Moore. For years, it was the electrolysis center. So they do have a current lease, and you'll see that later on in further applications. This first request is from the property owner, and Mr. Torres is here, and he can explain to you some of the building renovations. I've also included in your packet explanation and highlights of your current grant application, how they're stated, and a staff
Can you let this gentleman in?
recommendation. So I'll invite Mr. Torres to come up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll try to answer any questions.
You're welcome to walk us through the application.
Sure. So these are improvements that have been made already. When we had a storm come through here last year, we realized that we had to replace the roof. So we went ahead and did that. We replaced the air conditioning unit, both outside and inside. Thank you. And I did not know about this program. Had we known, we would have come to you guys prior to those improvements being made. The proposed tenant, he is now going to occupy not only Suite 300, but also Suite 100, and also occupy the space between the front building and the back warehouse building. And also, he's also going to lease the warehouse building as well. I think the project has grown to just a little bit bigger than what anticipated, and so you're going to hear that later on from his presentation. So these are just the major expenses that we made throughout the improvements made to the property.
For our board, the staff recommendation can be found on page 26 of your packet. Recommendation is reimbursement for half of the expense Mr. Torres incurred for the roof, AC, and gas line repair. So it would be a total of $13,039.56. Is the board interested in sending this to a vote now, or do we want to hear all three of the requests that have to do with the building? What is your preference?
That would be my preference, is to hear the joint and then.
The whole, so we can get an idea of the whole picture. Any questions for Mr. Torres?
Does this include where the law office is or was located as well? So is it the entire building?
The entire building, yes.
Okay, and there's two or three suites in that building,
That
right?
is correct.
Okay.
The attorney occupies Suite 200.
Okay,
So the new tenant is going to occupy everything around the Suite 200.
okay,
He's going to occupy Suite 100, 300, and also the space in the back. It's
okay.
a pretty large space.
When you say in the back, are you talking about the open area?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
You said there's the warehouse that's next to the alleyway that's included as well, right?
that is correct.
All right, and I think,
Included in the lease, not included in this package.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think Jonathan's prepared to walk us through his vision for finishing the building as well. So if we have any questions for Mr. Torres, we can ask in a minute as well. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Jonathan, if you want to come share your request and vision and tell everybody where they need to be this Saturday night.
So I just want to say good morning, and just to clarify, it's not just my vision. I do have a partner here. His name's Heido. We do have a partnership to do this space. Sorry, I'm going to read through my notes real quick. So we're excited to present our vision to Terrell. It's called Terrell Social Patio Bar. It's going to be a unique venue designed to revitalize and enhance the downtown Terrell economy. The concept overview pretty much is, and it's going to have two sections. It's going to have an indoor bar, which is really small, intimate, and cozy. Kind of think of if you want to go on a date night, that's where we want you to go. We do have the option of opening up a back door to go to the patio, where in the patio we're going to have a stage, new bar, lighting, and a dance space, for entertainment. We also have we're going to have a space in the back patio for a food truck. So whether we either find a local food truck throughout the county or the city to come in, and we can change that food type of food, every so often. So like every month we'll have tacos for a month, and then we'll do barbecue, and then so something down that line. We're still trying to figure exactly down what we want to do with that concept, but we do have a space for patio food truck. So it is going to support local vendors by incorporating the food truck concept. We're thinking of it with the stage. Having a stage, it can create downtown concerts, more often than what we have now. Hopefully events will come down and say, hey, we want to book your space for an event, corporate event, things like that. We already had somebody reach out to us and say, hey, we have the Terrell High School 25th year graduation coming up in September, I think they said. So if you guys are ready by then, we would love to do something there. So there's already like potential customers or people interested in the space. Now, I know something important for the city is always the sales tax revenue. On the conservative side, I did an 11-month, 100-person per day customer base. So if we were to get 100 people in the space for 11 months, I actually did 11 months, not 12 months, for rainouts or whatever. That's in an average spend of $25 per person. That's roughly over $900,000 a year in revenue for the business. So which is closely to around $40,000 in sales tax per year, just on in 11 months. It is going to create jobs, so we do have the potential to include 5 full-time employees, 5 part-time employees. We are looking to be open from 11 a.m. all the way to 2 a.m. That's our goal. Obviously, demand will dictate what we do in that sense, but that will be our goal, to be open, late into the nights. So I know I shared some pictures with Raylan last minute that were sent to us by someone helping us with the design. This is the exterior of the building. This is not what it looks like now, but this is how we would like it to look, at least. Obviously, we will need a new sign. The awning needs major repair. The front door needs to be repaired to where it's a push-out door instead of a pull-in, because currently it's a pull-in. So for security reasons, we would like it to be a push-out door. But any other questions? Or, well, this is Heido, so I don't know if he wants to add anything. Hi. So our project will be to include the second suite, but for right now, we're focusing on the first suite, which is Suite 300. This will be the indoor concept of the bar. Since it is really narrow, we want to build out the bar and just have a walkway and then a couple of, tables. And again, this is where I see people having their dates. This will be the interior, and then we'll have to add a back door. For the second suite, we're planning to just hold off a little bit, just because we want to make sure that our vision with this works. We potentially can do it into an add-on to this, to where it's like a more private suite where people, if they want to rent it out for like a bachelorette party or a bridal shower, but they want to be part of the bar, we can do that, but down the future. But we want to focus on the Suite 300 first, and get that up and going. And then once we get it up and running, focus on the other part, or the other suite. Mr. Torres said we are leasing, pretty much there's a parking space right next to it that can easily fit about 15 vehicles. So we do have that space. And I think I do have some pictures of that somewhere. And then there's a big warehouse in the back as well, which we are leasing, and that will be kind of like an over storage, or storage for our stuff. You can see the concept right now. Everybody knows where that mural is. There's this space behind that building and the warehouse in the back. That's where our patio will go. We're looking to do a really nice patio in the back, secluded seating for like individual parties as well, and then a concept for the food truck space next to that, and a stage built in. We want to leave a little door open between the bar or the patio and the green space next to it. So if the city does have events, or if in the future something happens in that green lot, we can actually have a door, and some of our patrons can actually go. So like, for example, the Christmas tree lighting, I know it draws a big crowd, so people can go in between both the space, the city-owned space, and our patio bar without an issue. Any questions?
What's your vision for the space that the city owns in that empty lot?
My vision would be to have more like scheduled events, whether it be by city or someone private, like the Christmas tree lighting. I know it's a great one. But my wife and I were talking about this, and we are huge on a celebration called Dia de los Muertos in our culture. So we saw that space and we figured that would be a great spot to host a Dia de los Muertos event, which pretty much is close out the space, do a trail, and we do what's called cempasúchil flower, which is a really nice, beautiful yellow flower, and do altars and things like that, which is part of our culture. But things like that, like a pumpkin patch or like things that will draw the crowd to downtown Terrell. But we're next to it, so we will take advantage of that too, like be able to promote our bar and provide drinks or, whatever needs to happen so we can work together. But I mean, I do see a lot of potential in that space in regards to events, even like a stage being built out there for city events or city things going on. But it does need drainage issues. It does have drainage issues.
And it's dark, needs light.
Jonathan, do y'all have any long-term plans to add food, or do you have any partnerships set up with Real Lerma or anything like that beyond just the food truck spot?
So we have talked about this, and so the food truck concept, it's something that we're going to start off with either inviting local food truck vendors, but potentially buying one for Terrell Social and keeping it there affixed to the space. So in our package, I did put in so we can add a grease trap big enough for a kitchen for future use, because that's the plan. So we can have either a fixed food truck, and we like the food truck concept. So we could build a kitchen, but we just like the food truck concept being out on the patio. The bar inside is not going to have a food prep area. It's everything going to be coming out of the food truck. But I do want to emphasize that in the front, we've talked about doing kind of like a charcuterie bar. So if we are to do anything in the small bar food-wise, it's just going to be charcuterie boards offered to those, in the bar, in the inside bar, along with some wine. And as you can see, I am wearing a Terrell Social shirt. This is going to be your logo. This is going to be your name. And so we're also, putting together the concert series that are happening in downtown Terrell. So we're committed to Terrell. It's something I can tell you that. We have 2 businesses in Terrell already. We're helping out with the concert series. We are very committed to being here. We love Terrell, and we just definitely are happy to be here and keep growing here. We see a lot of potential too. So we definitely want to be part of that growth.
Jonathan and his family have been very involved in all the recent festivals in downtown and at every chamber meeting, and I believe that y'all are all in. 100 people a day sounds ambitious. What's your break even? Have you done a break even analysis? How many people you really do need to come through the bar in order to cover your overhead?
I haven't done the break-in even
Okay.
analysis. And it isn't a very ambitious. Now, I said 100 because right now, or I can say, for example, the coffee shop, we can get around an average of 60 to 70 people in a day. So I'm just using that metric as a base with the concept of the bar. One of the big things that I like to do marketing-wise is just, I had a conversation with a barber yesterday about this. It's going old school, because we use social media a lot. But before social media, we relied on food, like an army of food helpers. They will go out, put flyers on doors or on cars at Walmart or on cars at the mall even, things like that. And we've gone away from that. Why? Because they tell us it doesn't work anymore. But in my opinion, why not do that? Because that's what they used to do back in the day. There are people still here in Terrell that don't have social media. So my goal to help with that is to hire a team of people just going out and reaching out to the local community via person, one-on-one, or invitations. So like a flyer that's going to be an invitation, to our place. Because I feel like in Terrell, we kind of need that. And it really anywhere. Social media it's a great tool, but I think taking it back to a little bit of the old ways will help us as well. Reach that, get that difference from 70 people and hopefully make up for that difference with that type of marketing.
I just want to point to the board that Dos Campos is also asking for rent reimbursement, which that's the third item under their request. And Jonathan's background is in construction. Maybe you as well? No. Tell us about your background.
Well, I own a body shop in Dallas.
Okay.
So when he told me that there was a potential opportunity to open a business here in downtown Terrell, I was like, why not take the jump and just do something different?
That's
And
great.
we've talked about this for years. So it's now actually happening, and I'm glad that it's happening here. I've known this city for a long time. I have relatives that live here for a long time, so I know it's growing. And,
Awesome.
yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Two businessmen opening a business.
Been open for 4 years. In the industry, I've been in the automotive industry for 18, so that's a long time. So got some kind of experience on the ins and outs of the business. So
Very good.
Jonathan, oh, I'm so sorry.
adding on, hopefully open a shop here too.
Oh, good.
Jonathan, of your projected expenditures, how much have you spent to date?
Today, we've only done some demo and clean out. So that's it. We haven't done anything else just because I wanted to wait on this meeting. And I'm still waiting on the building permits to come through. So I can't really do anything else. But
What's your timeline? If you were to get building permits today, what's your timeline?
we've talked about this. We would like to open by August 1st. And there is 2 reasons for that. One, we're kind of going to the fall kind of setup in winter, and a lot of events are going to be happening in downtown, so we want to take advantage of that. But not just that, we have to pay rent August 1st. Mr. Hector Torres was graciously enough to allow us to prorate that all the way to August 1st. And I want to note something on our contract too. We do have a first buy on that building option when it comes available, or if he offers it. And actually, he did offer it to us, so there is a conversation about us potentially buying the building in the future. It is actually stated in our lease agreement. He was graciously enough to set a price on there that he would honor for the first year if we were to buy it from him. Regardless of the add-ons or fixtures that we do to it, he would honor that price for the first, second, and third year, and those prices are listed on the lease agreement that we got with Mr. Torres. And we are very interested. That would be one of our goals, is to buy that building probably, hopefully within the first year.
So, monthly lease payments on this building are $3,000, or these buildings altogether are $3,200. Our 12 months of rental reimbursement would come to $10,240. As far as reimbursement for the construction that they're going to do, staff recommends $50,000 reimbursement to go towards their total cost of $228,400.
Raylan, I have a procedural question for you. I'm just looking at our remaining budget for this year, because none of the work has been completed yet, so our reimbursement wouldn't happen until, would we bump that to next year's budget?
If he was wanting to be open by August, what we would do, we would roll over the lease reimbursement into next year, but you could potentially pay out construction reimbursement this fiscal year.
In August. Do we do lump sum, or is it a draw as he completes?
Do lump sum
Okay,
at CO.
okay. Questions or discussions from the board?
Yes, you have the owner and the tenant both applying for a grant for the same location? You are the tenant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I think the owner applied for a grant.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you really need both of those grants for your operation? Yes.
I would not want my brand to jeopardize theirs. So my application was basically on improvements that are not included with their improvement plan. So our application included basically the cost of the roof that was already replaced and also the air conditioning unit and some other costs. But, and those are not included in his application. But if my application was denied and allowed his to go forward, I'm okay with that. Simply because I believe in his project and I believe in what the city of Terrell wants to do, and I think all that is gonna work well. But, so, yeah, I understand your question, and I would not want to come in here asking for a handout or anything. But, with the advice of Raylan, I went ahead and turned in the application.
Thank you, Ms. Torres. Raylan, when we take a look at our budget on page 125 of the packet, is this going to come out of facade reimbursement or development partnerships?
So originally, all of it does come out of facade reimbursement, but we do have the ability to do some line item transfers.
Okay,
So that is the line item, but if we need to move some because we're not spending in other line items, we can.
okay. Yeah.
So we could move from development partnerships.
Yeah, do you, I mean, I know we have some more discussions coming up, but do you see us spending $358,000 in development partnerships before the end of the year? Okay,
I have no plans for any big checks.
very good. Any other questions or discussion from the board before we consider each of these proposals for approval?
On the lease reimbursement, we are considering a reimbursement for both suites, even though one is the only one that plans to be occupied, correct?
Yeah, and the vacant space and the back building. Mhm. Curious why y'all are leasing the vacant suite if you're not ready for it yet.
Well, because we wanted to make sure when we talked to Mr. Torres, there were some people interested, and so for our project, we figured it was safer to lease it now and have it so we can dispose of it, as soon as we get the actual. So right now, we want to focus on the build out of the bar. As soon as we're done with that, then we want to jump and building and going over to that suite. But so we want to have it secured. We wanted to secure the suite for us.
Got it.
Before somebody else came in and took it from us, because there were potential tenants for that. And that suite, there are going to be two options. Like I said, it's going to be either an add-on to the patio bar, or we're going to use it for our office space, for our Terrell Social bar.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. Are we ready to consider a vote? I'm going to start with item 6.2C, which is the lease incentive. And I'll entertain a motion to approve the 12-month lease incentive. Page 54, Hillary said. So Raylan, your notes say $2,560, 12 months is $10,000. What's the 2,000 and what's the 10,000? 10,000 is our total reimbursement?
Yes.
Okay, that's okay. So we're,
I had to think about what I was doing, yes, 20%, yeah, at 25 cents times 12.
got it. Motion to approve a lease incentive of $10,240.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Matt. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sarah. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next, we will entertain a motion to approve item 6.2B. This is a $50,000 matching grant for the property. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
And just to clarify, Raylan, this is paid on CO, correct?
Thank you, Mary. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Hillary. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion passes, and then I will entertain a motion to approve 6.2A, which is the matching grant reimbursement for a portion of the cost that Mr. Torres invested in improving the property.
I'll make a motion to follow the staff recommendation of $13,039.56.
Thank you, Hillary.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mary. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're excited. I know you can't tell. We're excited. That vacant lot has been the bane of this board's existence since we started, and so we're gonna work towards making that into something special, but this is the perfect first step. I would hate to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into a lot that's next to a vacant building. It's not well maintained. I know y'all are gonna take great care of this, so we're excited to partner with you and come to your events, including Saturday at 5 o'clock.
Saturday at 5 o'clock.
Yes, at the corner of
Francis.
Francis and Moore. They're gonna have live music and
Entertainment. So we
Entertainment.
do it's like our first concert series.
Mm-hmm.
We have plenty of food trucks. We have live entertainment. We're gonna have special characters: Superman, Spider-Man, Bluey and Bingo. A kid zone, really big kid zone with lots of inflatables. We have a trackless train, face painting, mechanical bull, football throwing, basketball throwing. Trying to think. Lots of activities.
that's amazing. Thank you for choosing Terrell to make
Yeah,
these
no, thank
investments. We're glad y'all are here.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right. This time, we will receive an update on the BMT Center.
Come on.
Raylan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, as requested, we are just keeping an eye on y'all's current projects, and so Devonna Thomas had shared with me some new renderings and some of the layout for the BMT Center, so she wanted to provide a quick update.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome, Devonna.
Hey, Raymond. Well, I'm Devonna Thomas, and we do finally have our finalized plans for the renovations. We do have a solidified builder now, Next Way Concepts, and they are registered with the city of Terrell. So I will be getting with Katie Baker to submit our permit. And then, gosh, I could talk about my thing all day, every day. So I'm just excited that we finally have the blueprints and they're finalized, so, and I did get those over to Raylan. I don't have them physically with me, but I did email them.
I think we had an elevation drawing in here. Are you able to pull that
Oh.
up, Arabia?
Yes, there it is.
It's very pretty, we love it. Make sure it made the packet.
Oh, thank you so much.
So remind us what
Art
the-
couldn't be here. You know, Art's my project manager. He couldn't be here this morning. But I mean, I'm here. You know, he speaks a lot more eloquent than me because I'm just like, yeah, it's the building. And Art has all the right words to say.
We have a lot of visitors here today. I would love for you to take the opportunity to explain what the purpose of this building is going to be, your vision for the building.
Okay. So this building has been in our family for as long as I've been alive. I was born in 1980. But so I now own the building. And it used to be a building that my grandparents would lease out to small business owners to help them out. I even think it was the Democratic, they used to use, a party used to use it as well. And so now we're converting it over into a youth center upstairs with a 2-level cafe. And then upstairs will be strictly for the youth. No adults would be allowed upstairs unless there are volunteers. And then we'll have 3 small business suites downstairs as well. That way we can lease those out to small business owners that maybe can't afford big rents, somewhere they can come and, you know, rent over there with us. We'll have after-school programs for grades 6 through 12. Monday through Friday. We'll be open on the weekends as well. And we'll also do an after-school feeding program, which is why we need the commercial kitchen and the cafe, so we can provide meals to the youth after school if they wanted to come grab a bite to eat. And then still working on partnering with SWCC and Terrell ISD to do a dual credit program, so we can run a business course in the cafe to give them a college credit through Southwestern Christian College. So, yep.
So your revenue sources for the building would be some lease income?
Yes.
From the first floor tenants. How else does this building, pay for itself?
So we will also get an income from the cafe, the 3 small business suites, and then working with the city of Kaufman to have the same concept done. We have property in Kaufman as well. So that way we can be in Terrell and Kaufman. So, I mean, we do have our funeral home. I mean, it's in Kaufman, but Thomas and Sons Funeral Home. And then, where else will we get money from? The Lord? No. But, I mean, we do have other ways that we are generating income, but the main source of income would be leasing out those small business suites
Very good.
to small business owners.
What about the cost to turn that building into this building?
So I know Art had did a preliminary budget about a year ago, and I think he had it around 350,000, like on the large end. But then now that we have Next Way Concepts coming in, we have builders out of Dallas that are gonna put money into it as well. That way we don't have to, it won't be so much of an expense on us, that they're just willing to help us, so.
So is this going to be a renovation or?
It's a renovation.
Okay, because I remember we were talking before whether or not it made sense to demo the old building and rebuild or what. So this would be a renovation of the existing.
It would be.
Okay.
Yeah. And it might not have been 350, it might have been 250. I have to look in my, oh, wait. Oh, he's texting me now. Sorry, this is so rude. I can just text him real quick. I'm sorry, everyone.
What is what is your hope on timing when y'all would get to?
So when I talked to Chris, the main builder, he said that it shouldn't take longer than 3 months to get it done, because they do have a crew already working. They do commercial renovations and residential in Dallas, the DFW area, as well as Fayetteville, Georgia, and down in Houston. So they have crews ready to send to us. I just need to do the part with Katie as far as the permit part.
Okay. Do you have potential tenants yet?
I have one who was a schoolmate. She wants to do she's an esthetician, and she wanted to put in a skincare. She's already doing it in Mesquite, but the rent's kind of high there for her. And I was like, well, you can just come home. I'm always trying to get everybody to come home. I was like, you can just come home. Her name's Dawn Davis, and you can do it at the building, and I'll lower the rent. That way you can afford it. That way you can bring your business to Terrell, because people would love to do that. So.
Perfect.
And I'm still gonna try to get with Becca to see if the library wants to use my space, because during the day, no one will be upstairs, so that can be an expansion for the library as well.
Great.
So I'm still gonna work with, I'm still on the library board, so I'm still gonna be like, hey, girl, do you guys wanna lease upstairs during the day? So, yeah.
Awesome. Any questions for Devonna? All right, we're thankful for the update and glad things are moving forward.
Oh, yep, you're welcome.
Thank you for
He's
being
texting back, oh, he's just texting slow. I asked him the budget, just so you have that number, but if I shout it out from the back, that's why.
All right, very good.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to receive Pina Development Projects updates. Maybe not yet. Circle back. You're fine. Yes, we'll circle back, Cynthia. No problem. How about let's go to Park Projects update and 2026 budget recommendations from Glenn.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So, as you well know, we have included in your packet the Park Board Master Plan, the Park Master Plan, and we're going to go through that to kind of give you a quick snapshot of some of the things that came through in the 2017 Master Plan. You have your plan, vision, and goals. One of the things that we wanted to focus on is quality of the parks, the system connection, the parks as a development catalyst to help grow the community, as well as coordination. And some of the definitions that you'll see identified below those bullets is provide a system for safe, well-maintained quality parks. That's important to the community. Create a connected park system, leverage our existing future park system, as well as attract businesses. The next slide, you can go, am I controlling that or you are? Okay. You kind of see our park system identified here. We've got Arley White Park, Gill Park, Breezy Hill Park, Stallings Park, and Kings Creek Park. As you well know, we've done tons of work at Gill Park, Breezy Hill Park, and we've got 3 other parks that we're hoping to do substantial work. We have done some work as well as Arlie White. So Stallings Park and Kings Creek Park is some of the hopeful focuses moving forward. At Arlie White Park, the 2017 master plan, we identified several things that we wanted to accomplish and did accomplish. We installed the parking lot, addressed the pavilion that's been there a long time. We have not done any ADA ramps at that particular location. That's one of the projects we'd like for you to consider moving forward. We'd like to have some future phases of improving the park, like including outdoor classrooms, new trail on the south side of the creek, playground improvements. There are nice playground implements there, but we'd like to upgrade some of those and potentially acquire land to expand that particular park, and hopefully through supportive grants. I can get to the next page. We'll follow through with some of the proposed costs. As you well know, Arlie White Park does not have a restroom at this particular time. That's something that we'd love to have considered at that location, if viable. A modular tile court, we've done it at several other parks. We'd like to entertain an opportunity in FY26 to install, improve the court there on that facility, add lighting to the court, and install additional picnic tables, and, as I said earlier, land acquisition potentially. And there's some costs associated with that. Those are budgetary numbers, opinion of probable construction costs for you to consider. And you can stop me at any time if you want to focus on one park at a time.
I appreciate that. Yeah, let's kind of work our way through these one at a time. So feedback for Glenn, discussion amongst the board for requests before you for Arlie White.
So Glenn, I'd first just like to say, I had not been to Arlie White in a long time, and I recently was out there for a block walking event, and I was very impressed.
Thank you.
It looked great. The signage looks great. It was freshly mowed. I don't know if I was just there on the right day, but it really looked great. For me, looking at these, this list of opportunities at this time, with its current size and proximity to homes, I don't personally feel that a restroom out there is a need. I understand why it would be a want. But certainly some additional replacement of some of the aesthetic things, I can definitely see it being a continuation of sprucing that place up.
And I kind of feel the opposite. It's got, with it, some of the people that I know that have said they use that park, they have to go home blocks and blocks away to have their children go to the bathroom, and then they don't come back. So I kind of see it the other way on that. So I think if you're going to have a park, there should be a restroom.
I think there should be a restroom. I think $320,000 is ridiculous. I think it could be a one-holer. I am done with the modular restrooms and the expense. I know there's certainly ease of installation, but, yeah, maybe $100,000, maybe.
Is there plumbing? I'm assuming
Yes.
plumbing will have to be run, and because there's,
Well, there's plumbing in the vicinity.
oh, there is.
So
I'm
water and
plumbing.
sewer is not an issue.
Okay.
And you remember, a modular restroom come fabricated with all of those components, and it's a plug and play. And obviously, the size of the restroom for a modular is determined on the cost. That impacts the cost as well. And I heard you say, for one occupancy, that's always something to consider. One is better than none. And obviously, the cost would be substantially less with the smaller unit.
And I would like a cost for not modular, but built on-site,
Okay?
wood frame.
Okay?
I mean, cinder block maybe, but
Okay.
built on site.
One recommendation, let's take advantage
Mhm.
of having other construction projects going on with the city right now. So currently, the city of Terrell has a contract with Core Construction. We've got the fire station being built and also the Pet Adoption Center. What we could do is ask Core and our existing architect to come up with the bid plans for a one spot. And perhaps we could take advantage of just having some of these contractors in the area for the next 18 months. And so if you are comfortable with us going that direction, I'd be glad to help bring kind of Core in and we can do some bidding through them.
That'd be great.
And no wood, please.
That's fine.
No wood. Okay. Yes, thank you.
I like the idea of a modular tile court. Pickleball courts are small. Even if you put one of those out there, I feel like it would get used by the neighborhood. It certainly, there is basketball already, so we probably need to we could just tile that.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know, size-wise, what would it fit besides a basketball? Is it a full court?
It's a full court.
Okay.
That's correct.
So we could, well, you don't want to put a tennis net down the middle of a basketball court.
No, ma'am.
So are you suggesting to just tile the existing, or are you suggesting, okay, just tile?
Tile and fence the existing court.
Okay.
I want to take a step back to the restrooms. Have you compared the price of a permanent restroom, as Tori was speaking of, to the module? Have you looked at the price difference between them, if you put a permanent one out there?
Yes, sir, I have, and I've gone additional steps. I had consultants, architects, compare the cost with modular versus a build-out, and every one of them said, you're gonna save money on modular, 100%. That's your cheapest way out. So we've done that work, yes, sir. Because we were asked, we've gone through this multiple times with different boards, not just your board, and I was asked to go do the work. We put in the work, and we came back with the findings, and it was do modular, modular, modular. Matter of fact, we had a consultant here last night for the public meeting for Kings Creek. That consultant, which was Hewitt Zollers, they also recommended a modular restroom. If we install a restroom, modular is the way to go. And that's one of the possibilities that will be going in at Kings Creek if it's so chosen by the community. So. But there's other items that we've got on the table, installing picnic tables, trash receptacles, things of that nature, benches. And again, one of the large tickets in that area is expanding the park. So, and that's land acquisition.
Any other feedback for the Arlie White improvements? What else you got, Glenn?
Okay, we'll move on to Stallings Park. Stallings Park, obviously, we have not done a ton of work in that particular area because there was a drainage project that needed to occur prior to doing work at Stallings Park. And I've included some of the things that we'd love to see considered. Demolition of the existing pavilion, which sits in a flood area. Improve the basketball court drainage by either relocating the court or upgrading the current court, removal and reinstall a court. Maybe in that same location, maybe in a different location. Install a new pavilion with landscaping. And installing a possible cul-de-sac at the end of Henderson Street, which is on the map there, the little circle. And obviously, on-street parking along Henderson is something that could be considered. A few parking spaces, take advantage of the space that we have over there. Potential land acquisitions is always an opportunity, and it's potentially a great location to install a walking trail with some of the property we've already acquired and potentially expanding and acquiring new property. And on the next slide, as you'll see, we included some of the potential opportunities. On-site drainage work, which we're still waiting on costs for that. Demo and relocate the pavilion. We've got a cost there for that. Modular tile court for either improvement of the existing court and then go with the modular tile court for that particular location, or potentially installing lighting for the court, which we love solar. It's worked out great. We don't receive a bill, and they've been long-standing. We love those. Install again picnic tables and benches. And again, our fun topic, a restroom. And what that size, what it looked like, to be determined, obviously.
I know when I was on the park board, Stallings had a pretty big pretty active association. Did you have discussions with them on what their vision, what they like to see there?
We have a meeting coming up with the community. There's a meeting on the 16th, I believe, of this month. We will, if opportunity presents itself, we'll have those conversations at that time. If not, we'll meet with them at the following meeting. That's one thing we love to do, is meet with our community organizations, no differently than we did with Stallings Park, and it paid great dividends. It turned out to be a beautiful park, and we can do the same at all the others.
So the next meeting with them is June 16th?
I believe it's
At what
16th,
time?
isn't it? 6 p.m., I believe.
And where do they meet?
They meet at the community, the church, Highland Baptist Church. Thank you.
Glenn, I'd like to revise my earlier comments and agree with Madam President. I'm much more willing to consider restrooms at all of these places if the cost is more appropriate. With that being said, I wanted to ask you at Stallings and at Arlie White, those courts that we're talking about doing the tile, are both of those in need of resurfacing right now, and that's why we're doing it, or just because we like the tile product?
Well, they both would need resurfacing, but remember, Stallings Park's a little different because, remember, well, you may not remember this, but that court sits in, it floods. So we really need to renovate it, then install the tile court.
And I see that it says the drainage improvement is pending. Is that something that the city has in its current budget?
Well, we'll have to yield to the city engineer. I don't know if he's got funding allocated for the improvements in the park itself, but they did do improvements around the park. And I think that was 2 summers ago or 3 now? When you did it? Last year, last summer. Right.
So does the court not flood anymore?
Oh, it floods.
It's still flooding.
It still floods.
So the park itself still has the flooding issue?
It still needs some work.
It's been addressed around in the neighborhood?
That's correct.
So it was addressed around the block of that neighborhood and then further south along there. The court really needs to be brought up elevation-wise.
So really, we would have an additional cost for the site improvement plus the court.
That is correct, Ms. Secretary.
Board, we're probably going to have to, from a financial standpoint, kind of workshop these. I mean, they all come from the park plan, which I love. I think we all agree these are good ideas for these parks, but, we may have to decide that we're going to go all in on one park a year. We may have to decide we can allocate, $100,000 per park a year and then work with the local association to find out what their priorities are. I know we can't afford to do all of this, and Glenn knows that too. So I don't know if the plan was like today, if decisions need to be made, or by when you would need us to make a decision.
She's gone. We're open. We'd love to accomplish a goal. And if it's one thing or 2 things that we can take advantage of, next budget year, we would love it. We'd love to. FY26, if we can do maybe trash receptacles and benches and some of the less expensive items to get us through till we get you more information on some of the others, where you've got time to make decisions on the larger ticketed items.
Okay.
We'd love whatever you have to offer.
So just by comparison, in '23, we only spent $75,000 on parks. In '24, we only spent $42,000. Is that right? It says park capital improvements. I'm looking at page 125. Did we borrow money for the bathrooms? Yes, that was your bond. Yeah. Okay.
Spending that, which shows up as your INS payment. So your biggest park expenses came out in '25. That's when you did most of your court repairs. One thing that I wanted to mention to the board was, kind of following this meeting, we're kind of wrapping up your downtown capital projects, your park projects. So we've got a pretty stable budget moving forward, for the budget book, but we also know that y'all were looking at spending down some of your cash balances, and so my proposal was going to be your next meeting in July would be just your budget. 'Cause by then we'll
Okay.
have estimates.
Perfect. So we've got the information from Glenn to do that.
So, Mr. President, can I make a recommendation? Because Arlie White is farther along and will require less work, I heard you mention maybe consider one park at a time. Well, I'd say that several of the items that are listed on our FY '26 opportunities, some of those we can take advantage of without having a substantial impact on additional improvements required. Not including the modular restroom, of course, but some of these other items that could potentially be programmed into the FY '26 budget year.
Okay.
Glenn, I'd like to see, you say modular tile court, $190,000. I have no concept of what that includes. So when we get down to talking about money and what we're going to spend, I'd like to see a little bit of expansion on what that includes. Is it $100,000 for one item? Is it $50,000 for another item?
Okay.
A detailed accounting of that. And while I have the microphone, Raylan, since they're asking for 2 modular restrooms, could we get Core, was that who it was? Maybe if they're doing 2, it would not be as much money? I think we were talking 3. Or 3, however many.
Potentially 3. But Kings
As
Creek,
a
remember,
package.
Kings Creek is going to be potentially a part of a grant. So, and SNAP is working on that project. So that one may or may not require any funding. That's something he'll have to bring forward to discuss.
The great thing about having a set of plans is you can always pull them off the shelf. And so if what we're going to do is have Core and WRA do this, we could do a 1 stall, a 2, and then what would the square footage be for a 2 and 2? And then that way, at least we have the plans and an estimate, and you just decide which one goes at what location. We'll have some options.
But I would like to see more detail in your numbers.
And
Maybe not even itemized, but just to say like this, are we taking out the old and putting in the new? Does this include fencing? Does this include drainage? Or is it just the tiles?
well, in your packet, it identifies the fencing and tile. We can bring forward, I believe, I can't remember the actual meeting, but the same thing that was done at the tennis courts at Gill, that's what we're extending the invitation to do. No different. So we can definitely pull that meeting. I can't remember the date, but you guys authorized that several months ago. We executed the work, and it'll be the same system. Potentially, it may be a different vendor because we're going to have to go out for a bid. So, and that's when you'll actually see those itemized items in the RFP, request for proposal. And I think there's one more item here that we wanted to bring forward, and that's the opportunity to install scoreboards. There's 4 baseball scoreboards and 4 soccer scoreboards. We've included a turnkey cost that was provided to us. It's $107,320 for the 4 scoreboards at the baseball as well as the soccer. And if we broke those out and did one at a time, obviously, it would be more costly. And on the second page, we included the price, which is approximately $20,000 more total cost if we decide to consider doing scoreboards as a future project in FY '26. That's all I have, I believe.
Any questions about scoreboards at Gill for the baseball and softball fields?
Do we have school boards already out there?
We do, and
These gonna replace the ones that we have?
that's correct, yes, sir.
Are those school boards, are they in operation right now?
They're dysfunctional. We can barely use them. They've outlived their shelf life, obviously. And those scoreboards were there through inception, and they work great for the time. But this is one of those components we'd like to upgrade. We did the same, matter of fact, over at Breezy Hill, there was no scoreboard, and that's the same template or that we would love to use at our other facilities.
Any other questions for Glenn? All right, we'll get to work at our next meeting and allocate some funds. Thank you for the work you've done.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, we're going to circle back to the Pinas. Receive an update on the Pina development projects.
So sorry about that. I was grabbing some copies. So I have, just like Ms. Thomas, I have invited the Pinas. They just kind of wanted to give you an update on their properties and some different projects that they've been working on. So I wanted to give them an opportunity to give a live update to the PAC board.
Congratulations on getting recognized for the best Airbnb in Texas, or what was the award?
Yeah, the best,
Best little Airbnb in Texas.
Yes, at the Hummingbird.
Super cute.
Congratulations.
thank you.
Thank you.
So we just wanted to thank you. We see familiar faces here. We've been here for 5 years. We enjoy so much being in this town. We love Terrell. He's been a great welcoming, after a while. And we really enjoyed working with all of you. And we also want to thank you for your partnership. I know you don't hear this much, but we really thank you for everything you've done for your town and for our buildings. At this time, I just wanted to show you a little bit of what we've done in all the 6 buildings that we own here in downtown. The Lyric Building, as you know, it was a little store that sell office supplies. So we discovered that building, and it was a little diamond in the rough. So we spent a lot of time and ideas, a lot of passion from my wife, and us traveling to the world. We saw different ideas. We brought different things. So anyway, I'm gonna do the breakdown on the Lyric Building. We spent over $800,000 in renovations. Even the building cost us $160,000, which is nothing. But we changed roof, we put a sprinkler system, we did brand new air conditioner, we did all the plumbing, we did all kinds of renovations for the whole building, and we did a lot of aesthetics, so it looked actually pretty nice. It looks like almost like a museum. So, we had a cafe and wine bar. We tried a lot of tried to bring a lot of people here in town, but it still needs a lot of more traffic. The town needs a lot more traffic and, and more support from the citizens and support from a lot of the
So for now,
community.
it really just needs the kitchen, which we are working on. That way it is guaranteed for any tenant in the future to be more successful in that business, with the full kitchen. So we're working on that, just stepping back for a little bit, giving Terrell a break from the piñas. But, so yes, that's with the Lyric that we're just working on the kitchen part, but it's a beautiful building, and I'm a little OCD, so if I'm there, everything is done, well made.
That's right.
For it to last for Terrell for years. It's not for 5 years, it's not for 10. We really are putting a lot of quality into these buildings, so that they're here forever. When I'm gone, hopefully my grandkids will come over here and enjoy them one day, right?
Okay, now Hummingbird Place, you remember how the building used to look? We tried to create something nice where people would come from everywhere. And Cynthia and I created all those murals that you guys enjoy. And we hired somebody that really saw our vision. And he left a stamp here in town, so you guys, everyone that pass by can enjoy it. So we spent over $600,000 on renovations. You know, we went into the building and we found, after we got it out, we found a lot of walls that needed to be replaced. I mean, it was a mess. But, you know, after a year and a half of being there, we got our restaurants. We have 6 lofts on the 2nd floor. We have a beautiful patio. Now you guys enjoy a beautiful restaurant. And that's what this.
I've enjoyed that building myself. We were just talking about, unfortunately, somebody broke into our building a couple of nights ago, and I said, man, I even got upset with my husband a few months ago and spend the night up there, and was hoping he'd come begging me to come home, and left the door unlocked. I'm like, now I know not to do that, but I even enjoy that place, just to take a breath, you know. So that's why I think we made it cozy. And the patio for Lula May, we just fixed it for them, you know. Once they were already in there, I said, I need a little bit more love in the patio for our tenants and everybody that's enjoying the restaurant. They'd like to sit outside and have a glass of wine. You're not just staring at the fence and the beautiful ironwork, but, you know, a little greenery and some water in the background, and just kind of get us all out of the snap. So Hummingbird is one of my favorites. I think here's his lyric, but Hummingbird to me is just very, to my heart, especially with that mural. We changed her face quite a few times because I wanted peace in her face and, you know, nature, and that it has a message to everybody. We're in the future hoping to do a couple more murals that also have a message, that if you water something, you care for it, it grows, you know. And we have a lot of stressed out people on Moore Avenue, so at least if you can look up and maybe forget that for a minute and go, ooh, I think that was my mission, and I kind of accomplished it a little bit, I think. So that one's with a lot of love, and we look forward to, hopefully in the future, do a couple of more murals that actually not are just pretty, but are our future.
Okay.
On the homes. Yeah.
Now we move to the Anderson building. After a bunch of ideas, you know, we went back and forth with the city, back and forth with different people, back and forth with different people that were interested, you know, from wanting to do apartments, restaurant, lofts, speakeasies. We thought the best idea was to target a hotel. So we approached Marriott to do a hotel. The city did a feasibility study that came positive. But the city, I don't think, is ready for a hotel yet. I think we still need a lot of work, structure, infrastructure. We spent over $1 million on that building, including all the windows, remediation, asbestos, demolition, structural engineering, architectural. And, you know, you see the building, it's totally different.
From the
what
outside,
you have.
the
Yeah,
inside's
from the
still
outside.
Blair Witch Project, so the outside at least, it's not stressful to look at for now. So it can sit there without stressing everybody out for a little bit.
And it has a lot of potential. You know, we were lacking more parking. So that's why we bought the Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, you know, it has half an acre. We thought, you know, we could utilize the little building to a different tenant, which we did. We leased it to the bakery. Panaderia Abuelitos, that's what you.
Panda burrito.
No, Panda
That
burrito.
should totally be a min. Panda burrito. I love that.
So we leased the main building to the Panaderia, and they've been so successful that they are actually going to do an expansion to the building because they need another oven. And so they're very happy with the building. And the drive-throughs, we convert them to a garage for future use for the Anderson building.
So for
We also lay out a parking lot that's going to be part of that. And once Wells Fargo leaves the drive-through, we're going to utilize that same lane to have maybe a little cafe or a little ice cream shop or something on the drive-through. So we're still going to utilize that last lane.
We thought they'd sell out, but I think they got a little bit busier with the panaderia, so it's gonna be a little harder for them to sell out. Now they're like, more cars going through that drive-through, but we are first on the list when they're ready to sell. So we even got part of, you know, the drive-through on our side with the garages. We left the frame inside open, so that can even be another business in the future. We just knocked on that wall, could be another drive-through for if the panaderia wants it, which I think is amazing. They're having to bring in some of the product from the other panaderias and put it in the oven because they're selling so much. So they are desperately needing an oven. So I'm really excited for them because they really are an amazing family. And I just met them and they're good people. They're
So
hardworking good people.
we spent $200,000 in renovation. It wasn't that much, but, you can tell the difference. And then the Griffith Building, which is the old pawn shop. That was the original building that we bought from when we came here 5 years ago with a lot of dreams. We went from having a restaurant to create a food hall concept. Over the years, from when we started here, the city made us go through probably 20 different changes on architecture. They made us use our attorneys several times. We did engineering on stuff that we didn't need to do engineering. And when we were about to do the construction with a new tenant for the food hall, the city took more time to review our plans than it was expected. So we ended up losing the tenant.
I think it was about 7 to 8 months to get those plans back. So we lost them. They've already gone, built a restaurant, they're done with it. So they were kind of reaching out last week, but I'm like, hold on now. But it's,
So we spent a lot of money, in the last 5 years in all kinds of expenses, and we have nothing really.
a wall. We have a wall, one wall with a pretty mural on the inside.
And we don't regret it because basically it opened the doors to us for other opportunities. And, it's just a loss of money, but, maybe there's something we can do, work out. And then there's a new
Skinny
addition.
brick building.
The new addition that we have is the building next to the parking lot right here on Virginia and Moore. It's a building that is 8 feet wide. That used to be an alley in 1917. And somebody put 2 walls and a roof, and they basically made a headquarters for somebody to live. Then it used to be the Dallas Morning News drop-off for the whole Kaufman County.
Let's go, right? Bike comes up, throw the paper in it.
And then the guy that
For
bought
the
it,
routes.
that we bought it from, he owned it for the last probably 35 years or so. And he had a vending machine business. And that's basically what he was doing. He wasn't using it for retail, for anything. And when Cynthia and I saw the building, we saw something special that could actually attract a lot of people.
8 feet wide, you have to do something adorable, right? It's,
So we went to Madrid, and in Madrid, there's a Art Deco building, market actually, that is contemporary to the era here. They built it in 1915, and the building was built here in 1917. And the Art Deco includes a lot of the wrought iron poles, the antique ones. We discovered a company that actually can manufacture those again. And we wanted to do an outdoor patio, if you can see what we have next to the building. And we wanted to market the building as the skinniest building in Texas, which it is. And
to make it a destination. It has to be a destination, skinniest building in Texas, and make it partially bar, boutique. We need souvenirs. We have beautiful murals in Terrell. I feel like a lot of people are using them to advertise and welcome, and we should be able to do the same thing. So we can have all of our murals made in T-shirts and coffee mugs. I've seen people in Dallas at their screensaver. I didn't know them. They didn't know me. I walked by and they had our mural in both of our screens. And I was like, wow, that's cool, And so that really warms my heart to see that in big offices over there. So I know they would buy every single thing we would have of our murals. I think, we have some beautiful ones, and we would love to have like the souvenirs stop shop where you can come to Terrell, get your beautiful T-shirt, have a glass of wine, maybe sit outside, enjoy a cheese tray. We're not gonna have a full kitchen. So the goal was to do something kind of like what Starbucks has, where it just has the practical little ovens, and we can purchase the sandwiches from our local restaurants that we have. I think we have plenty now with very good product to pick from, where they can pre-make the sandwiches, croissants and all that good stuff that we can stick in the little oven, have the little mini bar, and a beautiful little souvenir shop. And when the weather's beautiful, those Bill Peck did this kind of quick for us on a rush, but we wanted that glass to go actually higher, a mural around that, so it kind of looks more nature-ish, not just this,
So it'll be something that's spectacular whenever you come to town.
it has
Somebody-
to be
Somebody's gonna
beautiful
see
for
something that
that
they're gonna
small.
stop by, that we have the parking lot right there. And if you have something special, people was gonna say, "Hey, well, let's stop, see what it is." And that's what we believe Terrell needed. But at this time, we thought the projects here in Terrell were gonna last 5 years. And now we believe that projects in Terrell is gonna be more than 10 or 15 years. And, Terrell is not the only project that we have. So we have other projects that we put in behind that need our attention. So I think right now we're gonna take a break from Terrell. We don't know how long, but, we have to do other things as well. So we might take a step back and wait a couple of years to see what happens while the town gets a little more
And it
momentum.
makes it a little bit difficult. I think that we're just really trying hard, literally on my knees. I cleaned the buildings because I didn't like how they were cleaned, so I went and fractured my elbow doing it myself. If it's got my name, it has to have my sander. So we're kind of very go hard and let's get it done and make it perfect. And we don't see a lot of our neighbors doing that. It's kind of like, oh, we heard they're doing that, so let's just sit on our property. When they're done, minus double the price. And that's kind of put us in a little pickle because we really are working really hard. I mean, our other projects that we have, I'm not gonna lie, they're the ones that have built our company and everything that we have. And I think I've been to Fort Worth this year 2 or 3 times. Arlington's the big one. I think I've been there 4 times this year, and I come to Terrell at least 4 times a week. I've come twice in one day before. I've stayed at the little Airbnb because it got really late on me. I wish it was because I had wonderful drinks here, but it got late on me, and I was like, ah! So we've been here and poured our heart, our soul, resources, a lot of energy, a lot of energy, a lot of creativity, a lot of love, for sure. I'm an emotional girl, so it has to have something to give back, not monetarily, like our other shopping centers, but if it doesn't give me something back as a human, I don't want to play. And I know it sounds very childish, but because this is a personal project, we don't have other partners, we don't have other investors. We've had some friends want to come in with us, but we tell them, well, maybe you can buy another building and maybe on that one. But this is my family's. This is for my kids. This is for us forever. We didn't plan to buy and flip as we have in the past. That's why we are also putting a lot of quality into them. Like I said, hopefully my grandkids can enjoy them one day. So it does make it kind of difficult to just continue to put so much work and more resources. And like I said, it has to be a lot of money that goes into the buildings too. It's not the same as going and just, making, building something new. Going in here, Hummingbird, actually, we would have probably lost that wall when we were building the kitchen for them. We were just switching the whole inside of the sheetrock. Well, there was windows there that they didn't even have the decency to put like brick. That wall would have fell at any moment, so we had to stabilize it. And, inspection, things like that, obviously will miss it because they're buried. So that's been the challenge where cost has gone so high. And I know in the past we've come in, it's like, oh, the piñas. But I think you all understand how going in these buildings, doing things right, from the plumbing to the walls, not putting paint and light like I did in Hard Bodies because that was a temporary thing. It does get higher, and it's a lot of work. And we're still here. We're not leaving. We're not abandoning. We're still here 100%. But I think everybody needs a break so that we're not like, come on, let's go. I'm ready for it. Let's, get more walls and do a rooftop. And, I think we all need to kind of go at the same pace so we're not swimming against the current,
Understandable. You guys this is the perfect update. This is what we needed, a reminder of all that's been done, all the things you still want to do. But I agree. I think downtown needs to catch up a little bit to all the investment you've made. I hate to see the lyric. It's really not empty because you have given it back to the community in so many ways with different markets and events. You've been very generous with that space. The perfect tenant will come along if you decide to put a kitchen in or not. I believe it will get leased at some point. Yes, I mean, just looking at this in the background, the rooftop on the Anderson building in this picture is, I believe one day we will see that. In my lifetime, we will see that. And there's a lot of good things happening downtown, but I assure you, all of us are not happy with the way downtown is either. And so we're trying to be very thoughtful, strategic, but we're trying to spend as much money as fast as we can downtown. And
Well, then we'll say. We'll come back in 2 years, we'll say.
yes. I'll be transparent. Our board had a discussion maybe 2 board meetings ago that we too wanted to kind of push pause on some of the private investment because there's so many public spaces that still need attention. And we feel the burden of that, the responsibility of that. And so I think your timing is perfect. Let us catch up. Let y'all take a breath. Lula May is beautiful and by all appearances thriving. I think, we've got, I believe, on the agenda today to talk about some improvements on Catherine Street. There's just going to be a lot happening even in the next 2 years. Please hang on to the buildings you've got unless you have someone coming along that has the type of vision and willing to take the kind of risk that you all have. But otherwise, we understand. Thank you.
Really, thank you guys, everybody, we really were the new kids on the block. No one knew us. We didn't even have friends. We're like, hey, who are the Pinas? Where are they from? And you guys really did accept us and trusted us. Because you guys were very supportive with the windows of the Anderson. So thanks to you guys, y'all don't have to look at a Blair Witch project, was very depressing to see those windows. I look at the before and it's amazing what just, sometimes fixing the outside can do.
And we are willing to continue to do that. Nobody on the board regrets the investment in that building. And thank goodness that y'all were willing to pour so much of your own money into that building because we couldn't do it all. But yeah, let it go on the record that we're still willing to do projects like that to help save these buildings. And we understand that an investment in a 150-year-old building does not reap dividends. I mean, you sink so much into just shoring up the building. There's so many surprises, the engineering that has to go into it. You do not make your money back on that. And so that's what the Paddock Board has to do. We have to carry the burden of those things that are not going to generate an return on investment. And we're willing to continue to do that. This is a really unique idea for this. Honestly, I love the glass more than just another mural. And I love the combination of a mural with the glass and the changing of the textures. This is an eastern-facing wall, so this is perfect for that.
way.
And
Some
I forgot to
beauty.
mention one thing. We already designed, I don't know if you see the little awning next to it. Those are the public bathrooms.
Oh,
So
much
there,
needed.
we're thinking about doing like Sulphur Springs bathrooms, but we got our own idea.
Yeah, but they
With
can't
our own
see
idea.
you.
So you can see the reflection of the truck
Yeah.
Love that.
from that glass. So that's basically the public restrooms that you guys needed. We designed them over there, so.
We
Great.
thought about it back there because if you guys in the future, my personal opinion, I think the market would look beautiful back there instead of these everywhere starting to look kind
Smart.
of like a yard
Yeah.
sale. But, if we get really nicely organized and do everything in that back alley, everybody can use this restroom. And as the market grows, we can add more blocks so that everybody has a chance to sell their arts and crafts. And we know, I used to be a designer. I used to do shows at the World Trade Center and at Santa Monica and Jesuit, my little booth. And we all start, somewhere with our product. And so I understand that everybody wants to showcase and, I think we can really help them by guiding them and doing something that's nice and sometimes simple is classy and we can, attract more people on that back, and maybe even doing a sign for them. I know TxDOT may not allow it, but I know in Addison, asking for permission when they did the events, eventually they said yes, and then eventually they had their permanent sign. Running out of breath, and I'm not on pain meds, but I had a lot of coffee. I did. Last one was at 8 hours ago, so I'm pretty sober. But on The bathrooms here, I don't know if you guys have seen the Sulphur Spring ones, they're super cute.
Very popular.
And we can make them outside where they're even more cozy that go with the building, not just kind of real modern and then this kind of, how's it, New Orleanish look, we'll make it to where it matches and it looks good. And we need a nice little public bathroom.
We do. I think that's a great idea. Could be a great spot for it. You all are visionaries. We welcome your input on downtown, on public spaces as well, and how we can maximize that. So please stay involved.
Yes, we will.
Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you
We will. Thank you.
guys.
No, we
I'm
really
almost
appreciate
sad,
it.
like, we're taking a little break, but we really are so appreciative of everybody.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is item 6.6 to discuss and consider a recommendation to the Terrell City Council for approval of a Gill Park athletic field smart irrigation system funding. For this, I'll call on Glenn.
President, I've got Ms. Turner, done a lot of the heavy lifting on this as well. So she assists in handing out the bid tabs.
Thank you.
Along with the.
Is that it?
Did everybody get one?
I think I got two, Glenn.
Maybe. Okay.
All right, so what you have before you is the bid tab, or the bid tab results from the bid opening that was done on June the 10th. And you should also have a copy of the plan holders list, which are individuals that actually printed or downloaded the plans or the bid packet from CivCast. We also posted on CivCast so that we can get a larger host of potential bidders. We also posted in the Terrell Tribune, and we posted it on the City of Terrell's website so that we can get additional bidders. The last time we came before you, we offered a recommendation to reject the bid. We only received one bid. And also, just to update you on that, the actual bidder did contact us and let us know that they realized that they had submitted an incomplete bid. So they were willing to rebid once we advertise. So the results that you have showing.
How many bidders?
I'm sorry. On the plan holders list, there are 14, so including the 3 that bidded, we had a total of 17 that actually looked at the bid packet, and then we only had 3 responses for the bid. So before you have the results, and today we are asking for a recommendation. The layout that they received for the bid, or that was in the bid packet, was what we worked with the ISD, with the Excel. We talked with AJ. He explained to us what their layout would be for the soccer fields. So the base bid that you see would be the 2 fields that are closest to the Excel, and then the alternates will follow the rest of the field. We also included the softball, because as you know, we have a girls' softball program here in Terrell, and they have been asking us for help with watering the softball fields as well. So those are considered as our alternates. We are looking to you for a recommendation, whether if you want to do the base bid, whether you do the base bids and the alternates, or if you want to do the base bid and then choose which alternates you would like to do. We are here, we're ready to listen so that we could make a recommendation to the city council.
Thank you. Arabia, can you maybe pull up a visual of the soccer fields for us? So if I understand correctly, the base bid, maybe you can show us on here what fields that would include. And this is exactly what we asked for, so first, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the phased approach. That's what this is, correct?
Yes.
Grateful that we got more than one bid.
Let the chairpersons. While we're waiting.
Sure.
President, you can start glancing over the packet that was presented.
Oh, sorry.
We only brought one of those.
Okay, so it would be 2 soccer field, is base bid 2 large fields?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then I see alternate 1 is a small field.
And then you have, I think, 3 and 4, which they have explained to us that they
Okay.
would use those like as practice fields. But we do know that the city of Terrell is growing, and the number of participants for the soccer program is going to double within the next few years. So they will eventually start using the other fields for games as well, because those 2 fields that are on the base bid will not be enough to host those games.
Okay. Okay. So this is the irrigation schematic. How many fields?
A total of fields would be 4.
For the base?
Yes, for the base is 2. There's the 2 largest fields, and those are the ones that are next to the, closest to the Excel.
Okay. Okay.
And you're saying the 2 largest field, those are actually ones where they divided up between the 3 kids, they have the 3 on the one big.
Is it how AJ explained it?
What was the question?
The-
Because my nephew's daughter is playing there. So that when you're saying you're saying one field, but it's actually broken up. into
Yes, they do break it up. Yes, yes. Correct. Yes,
That's correct.
that is correct, yes.
Yeah, because when we were there, those were the ones, I think the older kids played a little further down.
That's correct. And they rotate the fields. We redesigned it.
So,
periodically.
okay, so the base bid is basically where that, oops,
You want to go back to the aerial?
yeah, the aerial was perfect, Arabia. You're good. All right, where the green dot is, that's the restrooms, correct?
Yes, that's the concession and restroom.
Okay, so everything between that and the Excel
Yes, is your base.
is base bid. So if we just did that, the, you know, 225 to 250,000. And then as you start to add, then we have a decision, do we want to do more soccer fields or do we want to do some softball fields? So there are 4 different softball fields. They're roughly 80,000 apiece.
Glenn, is it still, I know when I was growing up here, there were basically 3 practice fields and then the high school field at the softball complex. Is it still, I mean, it looks from the map like one field is still larger. Is that still kind of how it's used, or are the fields all used equally?
That's how it's used. You've got your 3 large fields and then one, what we call T-ball field. It's still the same way.
Obviously, we would have to bear in mind budgetary restrictions, but my thought would be to do one softball field and then the base soccer. That way, both programs are getting some, and then in the future, as more revenue is available, we could expand that. I would assume that once you put it into the base, it's fairly simple, well, maybe not simple, but fairly easy to tie into the existing system and add new fields.
We designed it, to God be the glory, so that the project is expandable. So when you build your base, you've got the capabilities to add on. And if, I think one of you have the plan detail, it identifies all the fixtures and components that's required to extend the existing system or proposed system.
Hillary, I don't love just doing one softball field because I think the 3 are used equally. Mhm.
They are, that's correct.
And then T-ball, you hate to not give the kids the crunchy grass.
I don't think they mind.
Oh, they're out there chasing butterflies anyway? Yeah.
And that's good to know, because when I was playing, like, everybody wanted to play on the one good field, and kind of the other 3 were kind of your practice, we'll play on there if we have to fields, so it's good to know now that it's expanded.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, let's look at our budget. Because this would be, if we pull the trigger on this, it would be spent in this fiscal year or next? This would be next.
Be next.
Next, okay. So we don't really know what that budget looks like yet. Okay.
Well, but
We're in season. We have to wait until
we're
after
in
fall
season.
So
That's
it'll
true.
be- It'll be
We'd have to-
winter.
Yeah, it's gonna
um,
have to be.
After their fall season.
Okay.
A lot of preliminary work could be done though, so.
How long are the bids good for?
I believe it's
60
60 days.
Okay.
I think it was 60 days.
But if we need to contact the awarded
Ask for an
bidder,
extension.
we would love to ask for an extension, if so approved.
Why do you need an extension?
Because if we don't meet the deadline, then the bid, it expires, and then we have to rebid the whole project.
For sure. I think we can make a decision within 60 days. Is that all that would need to happen?
That's correct.
Okay.
Execute the contract. Go to council, of course, for final approval, but.
And I'm looking at page 125 again. I show that we have roughly $180,000 still remaining in this year's balance for park capital improvement. So that helps us know what's going to roll over into next year.
What is your recommendation?
Our recommendation, I would say, is to definitely be aggressive on the base bid. And if we can get at least one soccer field, a baseball field, softball field, I'm sorry, at least one, that would be a success.
Mr. Lancaster, I'd like to know your thoughts.
I know you have money restraints, but I think Glenn has got a plan that will work.
Feedback from the board?
Looks like the base bid and one softball field would be around 315,000, and we're gonna roll over 179,000, so.
Yeah, okay. I think we're gonna have to defer until next month when we're doing a full budget workshop, since we've got the other park requests to explore as well. Yep. Great information. I'm committed to making a decision at the next meeting so that we can stay within that 60-day window. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Wasn't this yours?
Oh, now?
You want this?
But, I mean, we can wait till next time.
Okay.
Do you want this, or you want to give it back to Glenn?
Glenn
He's
can have it.
offering.
Glenn can have it.
We don't want it. I didn't want to speak for you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we will receive a Complete Streets project overview and future planning discussion. That I'll call on Raylan and Glenn.
So we are going to be very respectful of the last few minutes of this meeting. I appreciate y'all taking a lot of time today. We wanted to do some updates. I think we're doing really well on time. If you'll remember, we've been carrying over the word complete streets in our budget for quite some time. It's been a while since we really talked about what that looked like. It is a constant conversation whenever we're talking about all the projects around downtown. So we're just going to take you kind of really quickly through what Complete Streets is and how it stays in the forefront whenever we're doing our little planning on the side.
Hello, everyone. If you could go to the next slide, please. Okay. So this is a Complete Streets project that we have concluded for about, I think, a year and a half. We started with some public outreach, figured out there was about 3 or 4 different options that we have considered throughout the downtown area. So I don't know if I need to back up a little bit, but it's 2 corridors along US 80 and Virginia, so more in Virginia or Spur 226. And there are a couple different zones that you can see up here. On the left and right, there are urban transition zones, and then in the middle on US 80 is the core zone, so your core downtown between Rockwall and Virginia, and then there is the downtown entry zone, sorry, that's on spur 226 or Virginia going up. And so we analyzed each of those zones within these corridors and what elements are needed or required. For example, on some of these entry zones, parking is not a necessary thing, but in the downtown core zone, we need things like parking. But, so we came up with those 4 options, presented them, we had public outreach, presented some options to council, and then we got a lot of feedback about parking. Businesses really thought that we took away parking to allow for larger sidewalks or for more movement in the downtown for bike lanes, that the parking, losing that parking would kill their business. And so we took that into consideration, and if you go back one more again, so you can see, so the downtown, so the bottom left typical section there kind of shows, oh, sorry, this is the option that, sorry, I'm trying to back up here. I didn't see all of these slides here, but go back, yes, this one, sorry, yes, this one. So the top middle is that core zone typical section that is shown, 2 lanes of traffic in each direction, removal of the medians, so there are no designated left turn lanes, where right now you have the designated left turn lanes. It's in the top middle, so where it says the core zone, right above the red rectangle.
In our packet, I think it's page 72.
I can't see the pages. It's the one that's, yes, shown right,
Okay.
one that's shown right there. So in the downtown core zone area, this is the typical section that was proposed and recommended and got concurrence with TxDOT, council. We had a committee of members that JC was on for the review committee for this project. We got input from, like I said, JC, council members, staff, TxDOT, county representation as well. And so these are the typical sections that got concurrence and agreement on with TxDOT and all these other members of that committee, to where these are both TxDOT facilities. And so at some point down the road, when these projects and these streets and these areas are getting towards the end of their life cycle, to where TxDOT would come up to, that would be part of their program to improve. And so our recommendation was for the city of Terrell not to invest a large chunk of their own personal dollars when there is a plan that TxDOT has agreed upon and approved, that once they program into their capital plan, that they would be the one paying for that.
Then walk us through this schematic. Appears there's no median,
No median within the core zone, yes.
and then what's on either side of the traffic? It's like,
Is there a bigger picture of that?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see on the little one, yeah. Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, there's parking on either side, and then the right-of-way, or the very edge of those typical sections is right-of-way, which is essentially building face for the core zone. So it's building to building, goes 2 lanes in each direction, parallel parking, and then it's the parkway or sidewalks. all the way
Wider
to the-
sidewalks than we have today?
Yes, wider than what is today. It's to fix the ADAs, fix some of the step issues, the vertical change issues that are there, but it is wider than what we have today, yes.
This is very granular, but is the vision that there would still be steps?
Some you can't avoid, just
Okay.
because we're trying to match into building face, and then we are getting a little bit back because we're taking away some of the median, but we're still keeping some parking. So we're gaining a little bit. I think it's 5 or 6 feet on each side, but it's still not possible to gain 3 or 4 feet over 5 feet and meet ADA. So there will be steps, but there will be some switchbacks in order to provide all the ADA access to these buildings. But it will fix some of the areas where there's only 1 or 2 steps, it'll fix that.
You've seen a lot more downtowns than I have. I feel like in most downtowns, it's just a curb, not the, brick steps that we have. Are the brick steps ideal, or are they less than ideal?
Well, anything that has bricks is a maintenance issue a lot of the time, so I'd like to avoid those. If you want that brick or look feel, there's you can do a stamped brick on there just to have that if you want, but sometimes those get slippery and it's trips and slips and falls issue, but a lot of, there are some other downtown areas that do implement and have those bricks in the steps and everything like that, so it's not uncommon.
When we had the taco festival downtown, like you can't, when vendors would set up a table on the sidewalk, only if somebody's standing in front of that table,
Yeah, there's no.
there's no room, and
there's no
people
room,
with
yeah.
strollers, and forget about a wheelchair, can't get by. So, I mean, widening will help, but I was just.
There was also talk about, because we really wanted to widen that and fix all of that and have no parking.
Mhm.
And then that was just a complete non-starter. But there are opportunities that we discuss where if we have events like that, you can close off parking stalls or even put, I get what I'm trying, platforms in a couple of the areas that is at grade with the curb and the sidewalk next to it, to where you can kind of expand that for events and use the parking for it and expand it on one side, but still keep the parking on the other side of the street. And there are a lot of improvements within the downtown that have been made for parking areas, and there will be more in the future. And so making some parking on South Alley more accessible, I think that's a goal. And so, yeah, there's opportunity to use that parking, close it off for events in the downtown area. That will help facilitate the food trucks or any vendors. But the plan right now is to kind of put this project on hold until TxDOT makes it a priority, to where you guys have all the input, everything from all the council members and TxDOT, to where this is an approved plan that your city constituents gave input on, that they liked and saw. And so I think it's a great opportunity to use someone else's dollar.
Give me your time, yeah.
That was my question.
I would say these roads are getting to where in the next 5 years or so, it's going to be deteriorated enough to where it probably would be somewhere on TxDOT's schedule. They're already coming down this way from the west, and so they're already at 148. They're kind of trickling down this way, so that would be my estimate, something around that time frame.
When you see them do roadway replacement through a downtown, do you see them replace traffic signal?
Oh, yes.
They do all that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that would be an opportunity to replace or get any of the colors and look and feels on those traffic, because those are expensive to replace.
Do we, and ship may already be out to the ocean, I get it, but I know you guys have done the traffic study, but the thought of the offset lanes with no barrier in between makes me very nervous. I understand how in a small town that could work, but on a US highway, that makes me very nervous.
So does it slow them down? I mean, people slow down when they don't have that median?
Yeah, it is kind of a traffic calming. They know they have parking on other sides too. People are gonna go slower. The speed limit is not very fast in that area.
Yeah, people do.
Yeah, and there is a project we're gonna talk about. There's a project we're gonna talk about here in a second that is also a speed calming project too, that's at Catherine. So that will also help right the mid-block of this downtown area. That will help facilitate safety.
Any questions about complete streets? Do you want to roll into your next project?
Sure.
Real quick, what we're going to do is go into the fiscal year 2026 budget recommendations. And real quick, as I mentioned earlier, I would really like your July board meeting to just be budget discussion so that you can make some decisions and we can look at planning out for the next few years and not have other items on the agenda. So following this meeting, I want to send y'all what we'll call a budget workbook. And so it's going to be a lot of the information we've been gathering over the last few months. You'll have your park recommendations. I'll give you some just worksheets that you can kind of make some notes on. And then that way, if you need any feedback between now and July, we'd be glad to do that. So what I've put in your packet is just some of those projects that we have been talking about for the last month. And I wanted to make sure that the engineers were here so that you could kind of understand the true scope of what we're looking at. And so no decisions, I wanted to make sure you had a good picture. So we'll start with Breezy Hill.
Okay. Yeah, so Breezy Hill is a great opportunity. Can you go back to the picture? Yes, so the city already owns all of the land that is boxed in red there. And so this project would be kind of expansion of the existing Breezy Hill Park that's to the south, up to the north, some demolition of Polk Street and kind of make the connectivity of, clear all of the land, all the trees that are undersized, would do a tree survey, anything over, a 4 or 6 inch caliper would remain, and then this area would be regraded. It can be used with picnic tables or gazebos or anything like that. That could be, it's kind of it's an extension of the Breezy Hill Park up to the north in the area, in the land that you guys already own, that the city already owns, and so utilizing it and having that expansion as part of this project. And then there is another rectangle down on the bottom of that picture to where that is the location that has been suggested for a splash pad to be installed. And there is an additional, some on-street parking, whether it's on Polk or up Bethlehem. So we are looking into additional parking spots at this park as well. So, any questions?
Questions for Glenn on Breezy Hill? I know the Juneteenth celebration is coming up next week, and you'll get to see the park stressed. I mean, as full as it ever gets. So if you haven't seen those pictures or want to come see it
Yeah.
really being used, that'd be a good opportunity to do so.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, the next project is the US 80 lighting. Now that this had been discussed a couple years ago whenever we were doing the US 80 landscape project about the pedestrian and roadway lighting. And I think we tabled it at that point because it was expensive and we really didn't know what type of lights we wanted to use at that time, and we wanted to get the landscaping and that installed in a certain time before the freeze. So now we are re-picking that up. It would be, you can see the blue are the pedestrian lights that are out there, which are the shorter ones that are more for the pedestrian walkway. And then the yellow are the street lightings, that is for roadway safety illumination. And so this project would be to update the existing light poles and fixtures for both the pedestrian and the roadway illumination lights.
Would either of those be part of the future TechStop project?
The roadway, the street light ones could be and would be, they would have to be relocated and removed. So yeah, that would be part of that project if it were to become a project, yes.
But the pedestrian lights?
The pedestrian lights is, yeah, that is a city aesthetic requirement. It's not part of the roadway traveling safety. It's it's for lighting outside of the back of curb. For
So is this
pedestrian.
visual where they exist today or
Yes,
recommendation? This is
that
where they are?
That is where they exist today, and the plan would be to, if there are too many, but the plan would be to swap out at them at their existing condition, at their existing location, so we would not have to do any rerouting of electrical. And so we wouldn't have to rip up any of the concrete pavement that is there already, so to use them in existing locations. If there are locations that have two right adjacent to each other and they're not needed, they could be removed and not replaced, but the plan is to just replace them at existing
I
locations.
didn't know we had so many, when you put them all on the same map.
Yeah, there are a lot.
Okay.
So is the reason there's so many is just because of the lighting that was available? How old are these? The 80s? So what we replace them with should have better lighting
It should
capabilities,
have
and maybe
better
we don't
lighting
have to replace
capabilities.
everything?
They could be at higher locations to provide more lights. There's a lot of decisions that could be made on these, whether you light to both sides of the pole, or you have banners on one side, how tall they are, what do you want to do with them, how do you want them to look? There are restrictions of, if you don't want to, if we're not trying to replace existing foundations, we have to analyze the existing foundations, see how high of a pole we can get without replacing those, but there are some options in kind of engineering. There's some engineering that needs to be done, but there's also a lot of aesthetic options and choices that we'll need to make, so.
And if I recall the last time we discussed this, the reason we decided to put a hold on it was twofold. One, because we didn't want to put in something that TxDOT was going to 5 or 10 years later come in
Yep.
and completely undo. And the other thing was on the pedestrian lighting. I think we were wanting something that was more in scale with our buildings, and it wasn't going to be consistent with the existing pedestals. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
That was somewhat of the decision, but we also didn't know exactly what we wanted at that time. And so we took that out of that project to say, all right, let's take some more time. Let's really think about what we want here. Because in order to wait to bid that with the landscape project, it would have taken way too long and it would have delayed the plantings. And so we tabled that until a time like now.
Yeah, so even though we can optimistically hope that TxDOT comes and redoes 80 in the next 10 years, is there any reason to wait to do the pedestrian lighting?
I mean, you guys could help with this. I think they could be taken off of their foundations, reinstalled and reused. So it's not something you would just trash and throw away and not be able to relocate. It was something that you have to redo all the wiring if the roadway got widened out. But these are, it would be improvements that could still be used.
I assume that TxDOT would absorb the cost to do that. The city wouldn't have to reinstall them, and that's just all part of the TxDOT scope.
For the roadway lighting, for sure.
What about the pedestrian? If they're messing with sidewalks?
I think that they would. They would.
There's some real estate laws
Mm-hmm.
that go into effect of how they impact personal property, and that would be ours, yeah.
But either way, you would not have to repurchase them, and they would not be ruined. They would be something you could either stockpile and use if you had too many, so.
Whose responsibility are the sidewalks? The TxDOT? I mean, that's in their right of way, so whenever they redo the roadway, they're gonna be redoing sidewalks and everything too?
Yes.
Okay. Mhm. So it's their sidewalks.
Yeah, some of these buildings and awnings are inside of right away, so, or at least the portions of the awnings, and so, but that's regular in downtown areas.
It was a really hot topic, especially for those who were here when TxDOT came through in the 80s. Everybody remembers, and so we'll get through it.
Any other questions about the lighting?
I mean, can you ballpark what a cost of this type of project would be?
Yeah, it really depends. I know that we need to look into and see how many of these existing ones we would actually need. If this is the number we would go back with, like I wouldn't be able to. I would think we could provide that to Raylan to give to y'all in a week or something like that. But and that would be just replacing the existing infrastructure, and that would be the maximum, because if there's an opportunity to lessen the number of them due to upgraded lighting, we don't need them right next to each other, that would be a maximum cost of just replacing the existing one.
I think we are ready to see that number.
Yeah.
For the pedestrian. And
Yeah.
It could be broken out.
there is such a thing as too much light, but we have a lot of gap to bridge before we get there, so.
Sounds good.
Also, part of this, we had talked about doing new roadway signs within the core, which we would be able to replace the signs. We'll come up with some designs
Oh,
for
yes,
that.
yes,
And,
yes.
an
Like street
option-
signs?
Yes,
Yes,
kind of
the
like the
actual
Jamie Foxx,
street
the Jamie Foxx
sign.
Way, the sign that is on the US 80. Is that
On
Bradshaw, on Bradshaw? So it's something you can,
Oh, that's
Is it-
backlit?
yeah, this includes like a sign design that has a different theme for the downtown.
And even
intersections.
looking at, we don't want to take on the cost of replacing those streetlights, but what would it cost to paint them black or a solid color within that core? And so you'll have some options. Next one's the hot button of Rockwall and Moore. We finally have a picture. Looky there.
And forgive me, I am not a landscape architect, so this is something that an engineer quickly pulled together about the usable area. This used to be parking, all around there when this became the South Alley project, that came through with the quiet zone and the connections, but, so this is an updated exhibit of the amount of usable area that is there with parking removed from this spot. That roadway is the path, is the amount of pavement needed to accommodate the turning movements for trash trucks and other delivery trucks that would be accessing South Alley. So everyone's trash pickup is on the backside there. So that is the amount of pavement needed, required for those movements. And then everything else is available for any kind of improvements to the park. I know that the other business that was presented on today is right here, connecting to that location. And so this is an opportunity to move anything around in this area for.
So you've got, I see the pavilion. What's the label on the octagon?
It's a gazebo.
Gazebo, okay. And with benches or?
Well, this is what could or can be a possibility. There's no actual, just something that, yeah, there's just dimensions on the, I think that is a 25-foot gazebo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then usable area on the south side of the roadway as well. Is that what that says?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so on the top, it's about 135 by 70 is the big rectangle that's up there, and it extends down to where it would connect into that new business as well. So there are a lot of space, a lot of opportunities at this location. I don't know if there was anything more you wanted to talk about?
We were just trying to visualize
Yeah.
something that we knew we could see on there.
Yeah, we didn't know y'all were taking so much of that lot for the road.
Yeah. We would love to have scooted it down to the south, but to the quiet zones, we can't have a median opening that close to the railroad crossing. So if you see the median on the left there, it extends all the way up to meet the requirements of the quiet zones. So that's why the opening through that lot has to be that far to the north. South Alley will be closed, yes, at that location to Rockwall. That is essentially the connection from Rockwall to South Alley, is that sweepway that you see there.
So really, is there more usable area south of that square because that roadway would be abandoned?
Yes, you could go to the UP.
So that's a pretty big space if you take that in.
I guess y'all are still leasing that area where the roadway is being closed.
We can only go as far as the UP.
Okay, so what the UP right-of-way is right there, there's a call-out right under the usable area square.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about how far we can go down. This is UPRR right-of-way. So we can't use the existing roadway area for.
What usually happens in that case when they abandon that? Is it just stay busted asphalt or?
No, they'll remove it, resod it.
Okay.
And make it a grass
Okay,
area.
that's fine.
Yeah, it'll be grass.
Okay.
This
What-
plan does include South Alley being one-way, or is it
Yes.
two-way? Okay,
One-
so I remember there was talks of that, okay.
One way eastbound.
Eastbound or westbound? Because the entryway's coming into Rockwall, so they'd have to cut across.
It would be westbound, no, eastbound.
Okay,
Eastbound, so going right on this page.
okay.
So yeah, you'd have to turn across traffic to enter it? If you're on South Rockwall and you're going to go down South Alley,
You gotta cross over.
you've got to cross over this lane of traffic going north on Rockwall to access the alley?
Is there a reason not
Well-
to do westbound traffic there? That way it's outletting out into the flow of traffic and not going against the flow of traffic?
There were a lot of discussion on this, and then with the signals and how the movement of the through traffic, as well as, I think, the farther end on the west, that the westbound made the most sense. And right now, they cross over Rockwall to get into South Alley westbound, or eastbound anyway. It's the same movement, it's just moved farther up, oh, sorry.
That red light backs up all the way, and so right now there is a break for people to make that turn when people are stopped.
Gotcha, yeah.
I will tell you that a portion of this is to accommodate deliveries for a large commercial business that is there on that block. And it is the direction that that delivery truck would have to travel to back up. He would have to go past his delivery spot and back up into.
It's back in hundreds of feet, right, in order to get to.
So he would not be able to travel westbound on South Alley and make deliveries. So this also has to do with the delivery truck direction to accommodate for that one block. It was difficult, but we finally got there.
When are we gonna get quiet zones?
We are going to resubmit that grant to the Recieve grant. The notification for funding opportunity comes out either the end of this month or early next month, and we're repackaging to resubmit.
Okay. I think we're all excited about the rehab of the private lot next to this, so that's the next step, and we'll see how that turns out, and probably timing, I'm optimistic that we're gonna get the Chrissy grant and have a better feel for timing on quiet zones, and then decide how we might wanna participate in this lot, in maybe 27, 28 fiscal year. Maybe later than that. Okay, thank you. Do we have a copy of that slide?
It's in here.
Okay. Catherine Street.
All right, so this is a two-part project. One part is within TxDOT right-of-way, which is on Moore Avenue, and then the other part of this project is north and south of that I'll get Nick to talk about. So the first part is kind of how we discussed earlier about the speed of folks driving on US 80 through this downtown area. The first or second component of this project is to make a raised speed table crossing for pedestrians at Catherine Street. This project, I'll back up for a second. This project closes Catherine Street for vehicular traffic, north and south, starting at the North Alley and South Alley. So that will be closed. And then it'll be a raised tabletop pedestrian crossing that would connect the north part of Catherine and the south part of Catherine for pedestrians. So a speed table within the TxDOT corridor. And so that will include some TxDOT coordination, design concurrence, some moving of inlets, because now we're kind of ponding some water, where if water would just go all the way through, we're making a big bump, and so we have to redo some drainage within that area, but get TxDOT's design approval and coordination on those elements for the raised crossing within US 80, between the north side and south side of Catherine.
How tall would that be?
Essentially 6 inches.
Oh, okay,
6 to 8
okay.
inches. So it's just matching whatever the pedestrian area is on either side. Normally, instead of ramping down to get to the roadway level, it's just flat.
Okay. I was imagining several feet that would
I mean, it could
interfere
be
with
more than
fire
6.
trucks and everything.
Sometimes
else.
it is a
Okay.
little bit more than 6, 8 inches.
Okay.
To get the effect of the speed tabletop, to make them slow down more, but
It's gradual.
it's gradual.
Okay.
But it's mostly for safety, so to address the comment about the pedestrians, that's the first thing we looked at, because if you're crossing that and you want to bring that up to a pedestrian level, that's huge. So there's probably other implements of things like, obviously, they would probably redo the traffic light, and with that, probably some other flashing lights or something to signify this is a pedestrian zone. But this is a really unique opportunity. To close Catherine Street and to bring a park-like feel, a real signature to the community of Terrell. Like, there's really not anything like this around at this scale. Rockwall has one, and it's half this scale. And it very much gets used on the weekends. But what we had talked about, which kind of leads to, the vision south of this as well, is, opportunities for events, stage, things, signage, and to signify Terrell and to bring kind of light to that area. Open space, flex space for uses such as, I don't know what kind of events you would do out here, but for those vendors, which would also help that discussion with ADA and being able to accommodate the space for people to walk up and use it. We talked about a water feature, kind of playful water feature that could be turned off and on.
That makes Hillary happy.
Hillary loves fountain.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk to us about the pros and cons of doing this all in one phase versus maybe enclosing Catherine North and then waiting till TxDOT does their lane changes to do the tabletop, or is?
The grading would be the biggest portion of that discussion, I would assume. I don't presume that the grading for 80 would change much, but.
It would probably, if they redid it, it would probably have to be redone from wherever the curb return is on one side, wherever the sidewalk begins and sidewalk ends, that paving would have to be removed and replaced. But if it was already there and TxDOT already approved it, that they would put it back. And so it wouldn't be something that either you could make these improvements now, really spruce up this area and really draw people to this part of your town that leads into another development opportunity south of a huge property of land you guys already own, the town square area. And so you could either focus and put that money into it now and reap the benefits of those improvements for the next 5-10 years before it becomes a TxDOT. I mean, if it becomes a TxDOT project in 5 years, and it won't be done with construction for 10 years from. So I don't really see a big negative of doing it now rather than waiting for TxDOT to do it, because they would put it back.
As a phase project, that would be roughly the same size as Rockwall's, correct?
Correct. Yep. Yeah, it's about half that one.
What's so special about Rockwall's is they have the inward facing, wine bar and different businesses. We don't have that here except on the southwest corner where there's the title company. Yeah. I don't know.
Lose their head-end parking?
Yeah, it would. And so would the Bren building.
Yeah, the parking would be lost. The parking on South Alley, I think, is underutilized right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be a space for those people to park. It's very close and adjacent. And then additional parking, I think, is going to be established just south of the tracks as well, in those areas. So there's available parking in the vicinity. But I think that if those businesses lost the head end, the improvements to these areas would draw a lot of folks into there.
Do you feel like we should prioritize the South Alley project so that we do create more parking and clean up the back and before we do this project?
When you said prioritize the South Alley, you're saying just
Do we need to do South Alley first?
Yeah, phase one, to make this a,
the phase one with the cleanup? Yes, I would say, move the trash enclosures to where they can be, update some of the signage to make it to where they're not parking on the business side, put them on the other side, do a little bit of that cleanup. Yeah, I think, but that can happen in tandem.
Are we repaving the South Alley, Raylan? Yes, we're gonna do an overlay. Just an overlay? Oh, this summer? Okay. Yeah, I know how all connected this is because then with quiet zones, where all that's gonna get redone anyway, and
That's why it's just an overlay, because if
okay,
my zone goes, it's complete reconstruction. of that,
Yeah.
so.
okay. This does, go ahead.
This walkway across, Moore Avenue, the speed bump and everything. You're pretty sure that TxDOT would agree with it?
They have specific design criteria that we help develop with them that just for these specific situations. So it's not something that's unheard of through downtown areas. They have design criteria for applications like this. I mean, I'm not saying they could not say no because they just don't want to, but it's not something that they haven't done or considered or have criteria for.
We I asked a question.
Yeah, it's a good question, yeah.
Commissioner, TxDOT told me that they weren't interested in slowing the traffic up. They interested in traffic get from one point to the other.
I bet.
So that was my dilemma with them. So.
Yeah, in certain areas, yes, but in downtown, core downtown areas, for safety reasons and or just, the traveling public, they do like to do traffic calming or safety improvements. And if you were to go a mile east or a mile west, they would not want this, but if it's a more centralized downtown area, then that would be applicable.
I think this solves our downtown festival problem. I love that we're now doing festivals throughout downtown. I think we'll continue that, but if you're to put, vendors here, you've got vendors, they set up in the bank parking lot, you've got, that parking lot next to Rice Singers where they usually set up a stage. You're still carrying people throughout downtown, but having people set up in front of the shops on Moore Avenue is not ideal, and we can't fix the sidewalk problem. So I know you talked about state, like kind of coming off the curb, coming off the sidewalk with some platforms and things, that is an option, but I think the space is needed.
This would be a great space for that.
Mhm.
Opportunity for food truck locations too.
Oh, yeah, food
like
trucks,
Mhm.
just the flex space in general would give you that overflow.
Yeah.
Vendors.
I just wish we had the shops like Rockwall does.
Yeah.
Okay. But this is a core downtown.
I don't know too, I mean, I've seen it happen where you do something like this and other shops start to come into those zones.
That's a great point. For the Bren building, which is sitting for sale and no one seems to be interested in buying it, they could knock some holes in the side of that and do multi-tenant.
In the screen door, Laura Wolf's building right there,
Uh-huh.
it does have a back door that outlets into that side street, but people who've rented that building have only used it for employee entrance, but there's nothing to say that
Couldn't be. True. Okay.
This is kind of a
Think about
weird question, I'm just asking. I just noticed on here, alley is spelled A-L-Y. Is that how we're calling it, or is that just a misprint?
On Google Maps, they,
Okay, because I was like going,
Yeah.
did we change the name of the street? Okay.
no, that's just on, that's what, you can take that up with Google.
I don't think you want to take that on.
It is good.
Yeah.
It comes up quite a bit.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we need to discuss on this? Yes, thank y'all for coming.
So my recommendation for the next items is, since we've agreed that we need a meeting to discuss budget and projects, that we hold off on making any recommendations to city council until August. And so if y'all are comfortable with that, then I would just recommend that you go to 6.12. Which, I wanted to start giving y'all just a few downtown updates. In case you haven't heard, we have upset a few property owners. Our fire marshal has been doing annual inspections of all of our downtown buildings. We've sent letters to property owners and tenants. We are staying in good contact with them. I just wanted to let y'all know that those have gone out, and it's given me an opportunity to talk to them about awnings and cleanup and brag a little bit about some of the things that we might see at South Alley. So the communication's going well, but I wanted to give you all the heads up that we are inspecting downtown buildings. You had Jonathan here earlier. Of course, the music series is June 14th, July 12th, and August 9th. I hope everyone's been to Lula May. We were all anxiously waiting her opening, which is wonderful. Went to ICSC in Las Vegas the month of May, and I will tell you, got some very good contacts with developers. Downtowns are really popular. Rural historic downtowns are very popular. So I feel like we've got a really good contact list whenever we're trying to come up with ideas or what we want those next steps to be for the property. I have to give the mayor credit where credit is due. He brought someone over to our booth who is looking at putting EV charging stations in our parking lot. I can't believe we didn't think of that, but that is a great idea to put those there, and it would have people stop on more for that. So I gave him kudos for that. Downtown Taco Fest footprint, we've talked about that a lot. Cynthia mentioned a little bit, I'm trying to come up with a plan that utilizes, I don't want to put not immediately putting the vendors on the back of the building. However, I think done correctly, you could have alley markets on both sides and still have your traffic flow and still have people crossing the streets, and it would be a lot safer. So I know we've had a lot of conversations about barricades and how do we keep people moved. And like y'all were speaking earlier, I think the key is going to be moving the vendors to where the open space is, but just making sure that we've got them strategically placed to where we're still moving traffic. So we're going to work on that, but coming up, you'll see us kind of work through that process again during the mural walk in September. We'll have the British Bash in November. We're going to set up a pumpkin patch at the corner of Rockwall and Moore the month of November, and then we'll also have Christmas trees for sale there on that place during the month of December. So we're trying to bring in some everyday traffic, and we'll also have a big downtown event, the Christmas tree lighting, which is the Friday night before the Christmas parade. So that's what I got for you for downtown. Then your financial report, I included, what I was going to do is just always include the last time you received the report from the finance department, which was last month. So that one will be there, so we'll know when the last time it was reported. There were no expenses when I printed off your news sheet. I will say that Lula May their grant that was awarded this fiscal year, she has turned in her invoicing for her grant. And so I expect to get that paid out this fiscal year. But I will have some updates whenever I send you your budget workbooks. I'll do some estimates on any outstanding invoices or outstanding expenses that we expect to hit before the end of September. And then that way y'all have a good view looking out. So, but let me know if you need anything. They could have, but they did not. But we're getting closer, aren't we, Arabia? 4th of July? Look at her. I hate to say it out loud. Yeah, we're getting so close, so close. We almost had, what was the one, the Fat Tuesday? We almost had Mardi Gras. Yeah, we were practicing with Mardi Gras, and we had 2 buildings we couldn't get switched over, and I was like, okay, nope, can't do that. So now we're just down to 1. We're good. We're
Raylan,
good.
before you step off, since we had an update from BMT today, are we paid up with them? Do we still have an outstanding obligation with them? Where's the financial part of that
We
stand?
have, I think hers is, yeah, so there is still 34,600. Yeah, so we've made the second payment, and so we still have the 34,600, and I'll continue to carry that.
So do I remember that her, the planning was it 50? How much did we, 50,000? Her $300,000 number doesn't sound right. Is that what you recall for the estimated construction of that building? Or was it higher than that?
She thought it was going to be a lot lower than that, actually, yeah.
Maybe?
300 seems kind of low for
It's
Interior
still,
and
it's
concept
still
drawings look like.
very, it's
mean,
still
that's-
very, very low,
Okay.
yes.
I mean, that's like maybe the cost for the glass.
Yeah, no, she's nowhere near getting a real construction cost.
Okay.
Because, and I do think she thought that this was just like a couple of $100,000 and, so, I'm glad she's taken her time getting this stuff together, so, but it was a great update.
Is Mark working on a awning plan?
He's
Okay.
from front and back.
So are we gonna discuss that in July?
Hopefully I'll have the renderings and I'll have all of that to share with y'all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when is the July meeting?
Is that gonna be July 11th?
Okay. All right, anything else? Just be ready.
Yeah, and if you have any questions or want more detail or want to see it a different way, just shoot me an email and I'll do some updates. So, but I'll get that out to y'all next week so you can start looking at it.
For me, it's really helpful when we're doing a budget if you've got a spreadsheet that we're working on live as we're doing it.
can do
Okay,
that.
versus us all with pencils and different numbers. Okay, that'd be efficient. Thank
I'll
you.
have that ready for July.
All right, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.